I wasn't happy about it at all. I love Vince McMahon. I don't know what he's doing right now, but I feel like he'll have a hard time. He'll adjust, obviously, but he loved business. He made us all who we are, from Hulk to everybody. I don't care what everybody thinks. He made it, and I have nothing but respect for him.
I feel like is he actually going to be able to stay away? That's the thing that I really wonder here.
I don't know. He's a majority stockholder. I don't know. I don't know whether he will or not.
Yeah.
I hope not. He's a genius.
This one's going to be a bit of a quick one. It's a bit of an update. Things keep changing every 10 seconds as far as this story. Hopefully, by the time we get back in the September fall region, we'll probably have a lot more information. But already we know Vince McMahon has retired. A lot of controversy behind this. Basically, due to the allegations, the payoffs that he's going through. I mean, we ran a video from the 1990s from a Geraldo special with one of the accusers from years ago that she was one of the original female refs. The interview was very, very explicit. And it sort of shows a deep dive on the insanity or maniacal that Vince McMahon is.
When I couldn't complete his desires, he got really angry, started ripping off my jeans, pulled me on top of him, and told me again, if I wanted a $500,000 a year contract, I had to satisfy him. He could make me or break me, and if I didn't satisfy him, I was blackballed. That was it. I was done.
And, you know, a lot of people have always thought him to be very evil. And, you know, this is one of those situations where there have been a lot of problems with the WWE or the WWF, however you want to call it. And a lot of it is surrounding Vince McMahon, you know, between the steroid scandals, the sexual allegations. And that's not only his. There are multiple other sexual allegations from people around the ring, behind the scenes, wrestlers. You know, we heard the flight from hell, you know, Ric Flair, the Ric Flair accusations, which, you know, you could say one thing or another. It probably cost him his position at the WWE just recently, because it has come up. If you haven't seen the video yet, Dark Side of the Ring, there is a mini documentary from the Vice networks that discussed this and what happened on the flight and how insane that flight was. And when you get a bunch of wrestlers drunk to the high heavens, we're talking enough liquor to just kill an elephant. What would happen on a flight to that nature? And, you know, there are things where they said they could have blown out the door on the front end at certain points of the flight because of all the infighting that was going on during the flight itself. But a lot of people online have said this, and I do agree with this. Has truly Vince retired? Has truly Vince McMahon retired? Now, we understand that Stephanie and Triple H are taking over, especially Triple H, that he's going to be, you'll see him more often. But from understandings from behind the scenes, a lot of people say Vince hasn't left. He hasn't really left. He's still the puppet master and manipulating everything. And I believe that, you know, when you look at that, Shane hasn't been asked to come back in again to assist his sister. And you're seeing all that's going on around the entire WWE universe. You know, the dwindling ticket sales, viewership. You know, you got to put it into the perspective is, you know, that the WWE is dying out. And I do believe it. It's the shine that the WWE had back in the day, from what I remember. See, I grew up with this on WWR Channel 9 on the weekends in the 70s when they used to run wrestling from, what was it, 10 or 11? It was about an hour of wrestling. And it was from Madison Square Garden. That's why they used to, people used to say, they used to have the time limit to the end of the hour. In other words, whatever the last match was, if it was like if the show ended at 11 o'clock, they didn't go over 11 o'clock. Like, now these days sometimes they'll go past about 10, 15 minutes past in there if they're in the middle of a big match. They'll do that on USA or on Fox. But these days, no. Back then they used to stop at that point. And those days were great. And then when Hulk Hogan came in, that was fantastic as well. That kind of changed the level. All the stars and all that, and then the WCW started to grow up, and some of the other small wrestling leagues, and you saw this happen, and it created a big billion-dollar industry. But it had its controversy, and Vince was part of the major problem in this business. Now, if the board gets rid of Vince permanently and his family complete like that, can they run the company, without the McMahons at the helm? Whether or not they are at the helm, I don't think it will make a difference. For the reason is, like I said, the way the action, the way things are going, the way it was. The way it used to be and now what it is today. It's not the same WWE that started by Vince Sr., taken over by Vince Jr., and the adventures that they have, the storylines, the great wrestlers of all time. Like I said, I grew up, besides just seeing Hulk Hogan and stuff like that, I grew up with Bruno Sammartino, George the Animal Steele, The Rock's father, on there, seeing them, the Great Moolah, and many other wrestlers that have fought for many years in that, from 70s to into the 80s. Bob Backlund comes to mind. There were many great wrestlers, many tacticians, the Iron Sheik, Nikolai Volkov, the Wild Samoans. And then you had the managers, the Grand Wizard. If you've never seen the Grand Wizard on there, that is one of the, next to Lou Albano, one of the craziest managers that you will never see again as far as wrestling would go. And then Blassie, Freddie Blassie, another one that was really good in the time next to Lou Albano. There were many different managers, different sizes of wrestlers at the time. And there were great storylines behind most of these. And then we get to the Hulk Hogan era, you've seen many, a much larger presence as far as an audience. You're filling in stadium, 90, 120,000 plus stadiums that you were able to fill it, standing room only, round the world. But unfortunately, things come apart after a while. We've done stories about Tammy Stitch and a couple of other wrestlers that basically they've been arrested for DUIs. Tammy Stitch is going to be tried for manslaughter. We've seen deaths like Miss Elizabeth and Chyna and many others that have either died mysteriously or have committed suicide. You have one wrestler who killed most of his family. His older son is the only one left. And he wasn't there. And, part of it you could probably blame on the steroids, the situation and the drug abuse and everything that was going on. Another guy had a heart attack at the premiere of his career. Another one had an accident. coming off a rigging off the top of the building and smashing right onto the deck below. These are the many stories that we've heard. You know, Dark Side of the Ring, like I said, Dark Side of the Ring is a good documentary to catch episode to episode, because you'll see the dark, or truly the dark side of wrestling. So once again, is Vince gone? No, fuck no. He ain't leaving this. You know how much money he's making off of this, you know, on there. Right now, he's just concentrating on the allegations and trying to get rid of that. He'll probably end up brushing those aside like he's done every other one that he's done before. So give me a comment below, subscribe, like, share. We'll see you on the next one. Thank you for tuning in, and bye-bye now.